Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Quip Corners Book Corner. My guest today is a first-time guest in the Quip Corners Book Corner. Well, now you know the title of the book, so you understand what I am saying. But you'll see her bio in a bit, so please join us in the book corner and learn more about her book. See you. Welcome to the Quip Corners Book Corner, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me. Ex- Excited to be here
It's
today.
nice. Yeah, I'm happy. And I'm smiling because I just remember the title of your book. And it's
Mm,
interesting how um a stranger is only a stranger once.
yes. Yes, that's so true. And
Okay.
some of my friends even say like, those people who are like, oh, they've never met a stranger because yes, you like make them friends right away. So
Yes,
it's
yes.
true. I
Nice.
know. It is a sweet moment, that like first interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them can be so, yeah, impactful. So
Yeah,
I love
agreed.
that.
Agreed.
Yes.
So please tell us more about your book, title
Yeah.
and all.
Yes, I would love to. It's called Strangers on the Way,
Mm-hmm.
Finding God Through the People We Meet. And I think since the pandemic, I've just noticed there's been a lot more, it seems like isolation and division uh, and I did a little bit of research a couple years ago about um, strangers and interactions with people and how we need it for actually our emotional well-being. There's something the New York Times wrote about a study um, that was done at a college, and they found that there's these bonds called weak ties. So we have strong bonds that are like with family, with close friends. Those are your strong bonds. Those are the people you
Yeah.
can call when you need something, or those are the people that will help you move.
Mm-hmm.
Those great strong friends, strong bond, family and friends. But there's these weak ties or weak bonds that they found are just as important to have in our daily interaction.
Yeah.
And because they help us feel like we're um, connected to a bigger story. And so it could be the cashier at the grocery store, it could be the gas station attendant, the waiter, the waitress, the AT&T person on the phone, customer
Yeah.
service. All of these connections are so important as well. And so I started to just write stories about interactions that I would have with strangers. And I also believe that God hides himself in the people that he created. And so as you get to know more people, you get to see a fuller picture of who God really is. And so yeah, there's just really fun stories. One of them was I was at a conference for work I live in Illinois, so about 3 hours downstate in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And during lunch, I felt like God just like I just said, like, God, would you like to go to lunch with me today? Like kind of a little date. And I love to try new restaurants. So I just swiped up on my phone and my phone actually froze on a restaurant. It stopped working. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe that'll be God. So I drove over to the restaurant and I was like, my eyes were wide. I was ready and excited to meet whoever like God had a, appointment for me there with. Um, and it was really remarkable because I sat on the back patio, and about halfway through my lunch, this young man, probably in his 20s, came out of an alleyway and he stood right in front of me and he said, "My name is Kevin. I have social anxiety and I'm really trying to practice talking to strangers. Can I speak with you?" And it was wild. And so I said, "Yes, absolutely." And so I heard a little bit about his story, and he had a really neat tattoo. I love to people like ask people about what they're wearing or their tattoos because there's always a story behind them. And it talked about pain not being weakness. And so I said, "Oh, have you walked through some pain?" And he's like, "Yeah." And we shared a little bit about that, and it was just amazing. Like it was such a like God ordained circumstance, but we were both really encouraged off the back of it. And yeah, I got to pray with him and just we experienced the love and joy of God together. So yeah, you'll
Wow.
never know what happens
Yes.
when you meet strangers.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And, it all started with your being open to what
Yes.
God had for you.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And we do have to make space because I think we can run kind of fast, at least in the United States where I am. And I always do love to on certain days, you have to just kind of run a little harder. But on other days, I love to just linger places a little bit longer or walk a bit slower and just ask God, like, okay, God, my eyes are open, my ears are open. If there's anyone you like are already moving in their heart, like I'd love to join the work that you're doing. So yeah, it does. You do have to be open, and but it's really, really fun. And most people, I don't know if anyone's ever said like, "I don't want to talk to you," or like rejected my compliment, or I think people are looking for connection, so it can be really powerful.
Yeah. And to your point, um, I believe very strongly that the pandemic opened up our eyes and hearts to how
Yeah.
much we need each other.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes. Yeah, being in a small space with maybe just a few family members or some people alone, senior citizens alone, like, yeah, we need each other. Like, even biologically, we're wired, like, oxytocin is released through hugs and
Yeah.
gratitude.
Yeah.
And that actually reduces cortisol in our
Hmm.
bodies.
Hmm.
And the cortisol is kind of the reason that inflammation can come and disease. And so we're
Hmm.
really, like God said, it is not good for man to be alone. And he
Yes.
really designed it that way. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's been a fun journey.
I know. I know. Well, I'd like to hear something from your book if you can read something to us.
Yes, I would love to. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, this is one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
It's called Alvin and Marlin, FBI Protectors, Angels in the Grand Canyon. The verse that goes along with it is, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing that, some have entertained angels without knowing it."
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews 13:2. "You're going to Arizona," she said to me. "I see you at the Grand Canyon. You are at the Grand Canyon, and two angels take you down into the canyon and reveal more of God's love to you." One night, I heard a missionary from Greece speak at a friend's house. After her talk, a group of women prayed for each person there. When the group began praying for me, a woman saw an image of me at the Grand Canyon. Little did she know I had been begging people to go to the Grand Canyon with me. It never worked out with schedules and timing, but tucked into my heart was this desire to see one day nature's greatest wonder. When this woman said, "I see you at the Grand Canyon," my heart leapt. I didn't know if the lady's prayer for me was literal or symbolic, but that night before bed I prayed, God, can I go? Can I go to the Grand Canyon? In the morning, I had peace in my heart, so I booked a flight, hostel, and car and found myself in Arizona that weekend. The next morning, I woke up early to hike a few miles. When I hiked to the first lookout point, I met two guys from Los Angeles who were also hiking. When we arrived at the second lookout point, I planned to turn around, but the guys invited me to join them for a longer hike. Before I knew it, we were all the way down the canyon at the Colorado River. What do you do for work? I asked them. We work for the FBI, they said. You what? I exclaimed. Tell me everything. Tell me something classified. Obviously, they wouldn't, but I heard a little bit about their departments, backgrounds, and fitness requirements. They were the real deal. As we walked, we talked about our families and traveling and our favorite foods. Throughout the hike, Alvin and Marlin had me walk in the middle of them as a safety precaution. Whenever we'd stop for a photo, I'd always end up right back in the middle. It was like they were kind, older, protective brothers.
Aw.
The hike up the canyon was nothing like the hike down. When there were 4 miles left, I didn't know how my body was going to make it. But
Hmm.
we kept encouraging each other, and I prayed to Jesus a lot. And before I knew it, well, 9 hours later, we made it back up to the top, utterly exhausted yet excited about our accomplishment. As I drove home that night, something suddenly clicked. Oh my gosh, I thought, they were the angels from the women's prayer. Alvin and Marlin took me down the canyon and revealed a new aspect of God to me. They showed me how God protects me, protects all of us, and how God stations angels around us to guard us in all of our ways. Psalm 91:11. Sometimes these angels are in the spiritual realm, but sometimes God sends angels in human form to protect us too. And the story kept getting better. I had the opportunity to share the Arizona experience on stage a few weeks after I returned home. After my message, a woman who was there texted me something that made me smile from ear to ear. Lauren, the guys were from Los Angeles. She wrote, do you realize that Los Angeles means City of Angels? Why, of course. Of course it does. God sure doesn't miss a detail.
Wow,
So
that's a
fun.
beautiful one.
Yes.
And your comment about angels, I remember a few decades ago where, my family and I, it's undoubtable it was an angelic intervention.
Mm.
We were on a road trip and one of our tires blew out.
Wow.
And so the car just went off, off the road. And just before we hit a tree, which would have been the end of our lives, the engine stopped.
The engine stopped.
And so our children were under 5. Yeah, way under 5 then. And so we got out of the vehicle and we're like, okay, now what?
Wow.
And before we knew it, another vehicle stopped. Two men came out of the vehicle and said, can we help you? And first of all, we're like, where did you come from? Because while we're driving, we didn't notice any other vehicles around us. Well, they came, they helped us, with the tire. They put the tire, fixed our spare, made sure we got back on the road. And so, and they were like, oh, just keep driving, we'll drive behind you.
Wow.
And so we were like, okay, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so just before we were to really get on our way, we were like, we need to stop and say thank you to these people again,
Mm.
and we looked and we couldn't find them. And there
Wow.
were no turn-offs. There were no turn-offs. And so, you know, of course, goose bumps all over. My husband and I were
Yes.
like, what
Feeling.
exactly? We're like, what just happened? So
Mm,
it's amazing how, to your point, God never misses a detail.
yes. Oh, that's so powerful. I love that. That reminds me of a story. My mom was driving uh, before I was born, and
Hmm.
she tells the story. She ran out of gas.
Okay.
Didn't mean to, but I think she was in a different car, and it didn't indicate, however that happened.
Yes, it
And a
happened. Yeah.
man, and she was on the side of the road, and a man came out of nowhere and just filled up her gas tank and left. And she never saw him like it was just she's like, I'm pretty convinced it was an angel. Like,
Yeah.
and she had enough to go in and get,
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's such a fun verse, the Hebrews 13 verse, because
Yes.
I mean, wow, like they're really like, I love how it says like entertaining strangers because you don't know if you're
Hmm.
entertaining
Hmm.
angels.
Yeah.
Um, so whether they're human form or something else,
Yes.
very
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Agreed. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So I know that your book is available on Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah. How else or where else can people get copies of your book?
Yeah, Amazon's the main way. I also have a podcast though that goes along with it called Strangers on the Way.
Okay.
That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
Okay.
And I've read a couple of the stories in the beginning of the podcast as well.
Hmm.
But Amazon's the primary way to get the hard copy.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
good. And it's good to know that you have a podcast. So we'll also share that
Mhm.
link. If you can
Yes,
please email the link to me so that I can include it when we're, posting this
absolutely.
video so people, also have that other way to hear you.
Yeah. Yes. I love that. Yes, absolutely.
Nice,
Yes.
nice. Well,
Mm.
thank you again, Lauren. I thank you
Thank
for,
you. Thank you, and
writing
thank you
this
for
and
the
sharing.
thank you for the work you're doing too, and just highlighting authors. It's beautiful, and I really do believe God is um, birthing so much creativity through the church, the bride right now,
Okay.
and I do feel like these people have just these ideas locked in their hearts. And so thank you for spotlighting them so that it can continue to spread and that
Amen.
these ideas can continue to grow. Because I
Amen.
really believe he's, yeah, speaking through books and
Mhm.
children's books right now in beautiful ways. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you for being part of it. I'm so grateful, when authors join me because it's another thing for them to say, okay, I let you into my world to be part of
Yeah.
it. So it's a privilege, a pleasure that I don't take
Mhm.
lightly.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. And do you have a copy of your book nearby?
I do. I've got this one and then I did a little devotional too. So I've got both.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So ready when you are.
All right, I'm ready.
I hope we keep in touch, but when
Yeah,
I
I
get a
would love
chance
to
to
have you.
edit.
I'd love to have you on my podcast,
Oh,
because it's about strangers. So I ask
okay.
people about their lives and things they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
you're interested,
Yeah,
I'll
I'd
send you.
love to. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
can send me more information.
yeah, I'll send you the link and then to the podcast, and then I'll send
Okay.
details too.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
thank
Nice. Nice.
you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Lauren was a first-time guest. So started off as a stranger, but no longer is one. Well, her book sounds interesting. How much have you learned from meeting strangers? It'll be great if you can share comments below this video. Well, and also below this video, you'll see how you can get copies of her book and even listen to her podcast. I look forward to connecting with you through future episodes of the Quip Corner. See you around. God bless you.